fabulous historic town of White Springs, which was Florida's original tourist destination. Over 100 years ago, we had 14 luxury hotels, we had bowling alleys, we had everything. And that was all based on the white salt of spring and the spring house. We were where people came to get rid of rheumatism, arthritis, everything else. Blindness, lameness, you mentioned it, we got it. That was the heyday of White Springs. We had the Swanee River and the White Sulphur Springs. I got involved in water issues about 2 years ago. First, I must confess I'm not a native of Florida. My husband and I retired to Florida about 6 years ago, thinking we were going to retire to a nice quiet life of genealogy and restoring a historic home in White Springs. And 3 years later, was elected the first female mayor of White Springs. Wow. And the following year, the vice mayor said, Helen, you've got to go with me to the Swanee River Water Management District and learn about water. And I said, do I have to learn one more thing? Sort of like Holly Golightly, Breakfast at Tiffany's. I really can't know one more person until somebody other dies. But that was not to be. So Walter McKenzie pulled Ed and me, and we went to the Water Management District. And in about an hour, we got the full treatment of what was going on in our part of Florida. And it was a scary experience. What I saw was a lot of challenges due to the migration of the groundwater divide. So in addition to the spring in White Springs no longer flowing, realized that over, I guess about a 20-year period of time, the Swanee River had gone down 6 feet. So it doesn't take a lot of imagination to know over time, as nothing's done, that river is going to go lower and lower. After getting that awareness raising, I thought, well, here I am, the mayor of a town with 750 people, 775, 1.1 million for the entire budget for the year, and that includes the fire department, the police department, town services. What is it that I can do? I am, and I was at the time, a new member of the Swanee River League of Cities. And about 2 months after that meeting in Live Oak, I was actually at the Boys Ranch at a meeting. And in preparation for that, I was thinking, what is it that I can do? And at the time, I was also aware of the JEA permit into the St. John's Water Management District. And so I put together a fact sheet of 1 page saying this is how you go on the St. John's website, this is how you can learn about that permit application. And so I got myself on the agenda for that League of Cities meeting, and I tried to scare the hell out of people there. And there was actually someone from the Water Management District, so after I spoke, he stood up and said, well, what Helen said is true, and actually it's worse than what she said. So that did get the attention of my fellow mayors and council members. And what I asked them to do was to prepare resolutions, try to unite our voices so that when we went to that St. John's Water Management District meeting in Palatka, we would be speaking with more than one voice. And in fact, during that meeting, we were able to get about 2 dozen or more cities to provide resolutions. And that was about the only time that the consultant for JEA had a bad look on his face. After that, a number of communities invited me to speak about water. And I've got to tell you, most of you are experts and knowledgeable and have been volunteering in this area for a long time. That's a new field for me. So I had to do a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of USGS reports in addition to the Water Management District reports. And for a person coming out in the field, that's a tough situation, to try, a lot of information to assimilate. And it really goes back to what Chris Bird said a little earlier with FLOW, the Florida Leaders Organized for Water. He likened the group to information starved, and that's true. I'm the vice chair of FLOW, so I can definitely make that comment. What that organization is doing is trying to provide more education and training and a comfort level for elected officials so that we can be more effective in dealing with the issues facing springs, rivers, estuaries, the whole water quality, quantity, all the pollution issues. And it's a daunting task for elected officials from small rural counties who aren't that different from me in White Springs. We have a mayor, we have council people who are part-time. We have a town manager, a town clerk, a finance person, perhaps, someone who does city streets and whatever. So we don't have, as a group, the technical knowledge and information to effectively stand up and address the water issues. That's why groups like this, meetings like this, are really tremendously important. It helps me. I attend as many meetings as I can so that I can learn something, so I can be a little more effective. And what we found, if the elected officials do get together, we have a better chance of raising the profile of these issues, realizing that we can speak out and perhaps have an impact on the political system. FLOW was started by Columbia, Hamilton, Suwannee counties, and the town of White Springs. That was about a year and a half ago. We now have 6 counties and about 5 municipalities. Columbia County put in $500,000 over the last 2 years. White Springs, $1,000. Brantford, $500. Alachua County put in some in-kind services, i.e. that means Chris Bird and Stacey Greco. That's kind of in-kind services anybody could get. And we are struggling a bit because we do have representatives from counties and cities who have different perspectives and different backgrounds. So it's taking a while for the organization to get itself with a united vision and sort of distribution or delegation of authority of who's going to do what. And we do have different perspectives. Commissioners from counties with high agriculture are looking at that. I've got mining in my county. So we have different economic issues to address. I think the biggest factor, though, is the lack of comfort, the lack of confidence of our elected officials because we don't have the technical knowledge and expertise to feel that we can stand up one-on-one with individuals in the Water Management District, DEP, EPA, you name it. So it's tough. What we are looking for is how to better educate elected officials and then give them the confidence to work together. That's where FLOW is an instrumental organization, and I think it has a future for having an impact on water issues in the state. In addition, I'd like to point out the Suwannee River League of Cities, the group we belong to. And those are other communities like White Springs, High Springs, McLenny, Keystone Heights, Live Oak, Jasper, Lake City. Cities like that who realize that the natural resources are very important for their current economic conditions, but also if we don't have the water in the future, it's going to hurt us to a much more degree. We are landlocked to most degree, and what Chris also said, we're dealing with the growth of the northeastern cities, the coastal cities. If they suck all the water out beneath us, they still have the Atlantic Ocean, and they can remove the salt out of there at some point, and there'll be water. But what about us? I'm going to go just to that last comment. What could we do about this? First, it was a question of how long will it take under the current rules and procedures to deal with the problem facing streams? That answer is forever, because that's not going to happen under the current rules and procedures. Can it change? Must it? It should. But what's it going to take? I would like to challenge each of you to call your mayor, council member, county commissioner, tell them about your passion for springs and rivers and the need to address water in a more serious fashion. Then ask them to call the state reps and the state senators on the same issue. Through a social media concerted effort, you in this room can have that kind of impact, along with elected officials like myself and others. So it is possible. It's going to take coordination. I'd like to commend Bob for putting the group together and giving me this opportunity to get to know more people, to expand the network of those of us, elected officials, and passionate people about the environment and our water, because that is the only way that Florida will have a successful future. Thank you very much.
Helen, I probably have a question or two for you. Bob, you shout?
Yes, in all the Springs meetings I've been to, when we talk about withdrawal, we talk about agriculture and domestic use. But in third place, not insignificantly, is commercial mining, which has been implicated in the demise of Kessigan Spring now towards the south. And this morning I heard, hard to believe, that apparently in the neighborhood of White Springs there's a mining operation that's permitted to the tune of 600 million gallons a day. I can't imagine using that amount. But anyway, do you feel this has had any impact upon the demise of White Springs? Would you care to or dare to comment on that?
I really don't want to, but the answer is probably yes. I mean, realistically speaking.
You're great.
And what is the permitted actual use there? And do you have a number for that?
I don't have the exact number. It is a big number. Most of it is recirculating. When we redid their permit right as I was coming into the district, I know their groundwater withdrawals went down, but I can get you that information. It looks bigger than it's not groundwater. It's not all groundwater. They've got a permit that allows for a lot of recirculating water. But to your point, it's not small.
It's not small. And my understanding is in recent years there has been a concerted effort to reduce the amount of new water usage. And the town does work with the mining operation in terms of water reuse. And we are actually exploring the concept of expanding through other cities and other counties the use of stormwater to be piped to the facility, to the mining facility, so that that community that doesn't want that stormwater gets that out of its town and into the mining operation for use for the operation, thereby reducing the amount of groundwater that would be used. So we are thinking outside the box in terms of going beyond our municipal boundaries, working with other municipal jurisdictions, with the water management district and the mining company. So Ann and I have had that preliminary conversation. I've had one kind of in the back door with the mining operation, and we're looking at how we could bring the parties to bear so that we could solve a number of water issues and provide a model for other communities about how to deal with the issues. My background is in management of technology and regional economics and organization theory and behavior, so I like kind of thinking outside the box of how you can bring different partners together to address complex problems. And I think this would be one area where it will put us to the test, but I think that's one category of solutions that we should be exploring very seriously.
Thank you very much. That'll be the last question.